Welcome back, everyone, to episode 31 of the Tricks and Traps Speedrun. Before we get into the content today, I do want to share that I will be doing a live-streamed talk and Q&A with Peter Giannatos of the Charlotte Chess Center. He's been working very hard behind the scenes in putting together the Naroditsky Memorial Fund, and we're going to do a live stream to kind of share more information about the fund, answer viewer questions, and hopefully it'll be a nice kind of educational and awareness to promote a good cause. So the exact time, I believe, will be this coming Saturday at 1 p.m. U.S. Central Time. I will leave a link to the scheduled live stream, and if you have any questions for Peter, leave them below, and he's going to do his best to answer as much as possible. And with that, yeah, I'm coming into today rated 1728. Hopefully we'll have some fun games. Let's hop into the first one. Okay, first opponent playing Kaitan. We'll play e5, and can we get a Stafford Gambit? Yeah, last episode also started with a Stafford. Opponent's playing pretty quickly. H3 is probably the best move here. It's one of the most common refutation lines, but white is actually walking into a pretty nasty variation. Yeah, queen h4. I've had this several dozen times over the course of my Stafford Gambit career. And yeah, it's so easy for white to walk into. Like, white developed normally and castled, but there's times in chess where following opening principles is not always the best, depending on what the opponent's doing. Here I'm attacking the queen, and this is double check. The king has to move, and it's going to be mate in... Actually, white just resigns. Okay. Yeah, just to show the mate, king moves anywhere on the h-file, knight f2 back, king g1, and queen h1 is checkmate. So that was a 9-move game. Not much to analyze. Yeah, as I briefly mentioned, h3 is the best move. I think this is one of Hikaru's main choices against the Stafford, just preventing knight g4. If h3 was played, I would play h5, and there's still a trap that if bishop e2, queen d4 is a good line for black. I actually had this position in the World Blitz Championship about a year ago. Beat a GM in 14 moves with this. But yeah, after bishop c4, knight g4, white's already in trouble. I think queen f3 is maybe a better try to threaten mate on f7. But then knight e5 is very strong. Attacking the queen, attacking the bishop, and defending f7. And then if queen to e2, I believe queen h4 is the best approach. Threatening to take advantage of the fact the queen is overworked, also preparing bishop g4, and black is having all the fun here. Eval bar supports black's position. So, yeah, hopefully few Stafford Gambit lessons to take away there. That win brings me to 1737. Let's keep it going. Okay, next game, playing Kavkoski. Play pawn e4. We have a Pirc. I'll play pawn d4. Okay, this is kind of, what is this? Like a Czech Pirc? I'm just going to develop naturally. Black is playing a more kind of setup-based opening, but I'll try and be aggressive. I'll play h4. It's one of the most direct approaches to pressure the king side. Whenever the opponent goes for this early fianchetto, this h-pawn thrust can be a fun idea. Now black is attacking d4, so have to be a little bit awake and alert. Knight f3 could run into bishop g4. And bishop e3 runs into queen takes b2. So what to do? I'm actually thinking knight e2 here. Defending the pawn, and then if bishop g4, f3, bishop takes h5, g4 would trap the bishop. Knight e2 is maybe not the most harmonious move because it blocks my bishop, but I think it does what's needed in the position, just defending the pawn. I might end up being shadowing my bishop on the king side. There's also some benefit of over defending the knight, so maybe there's a line bishop e3 takes and then rook b1, and then the knight's defended, so then the queen gets kicked around. But we'll see what black is up to here. Knight f6. Yeah, I was going to say that this tension is a bit annoying for black. Knight f6 allows h6, and this bishop is going to have to move back to where it came from. Now it's hard to actually keep pressuring the king side. e5 comes to mind, but that might be overextending. Like after takes, knight g4, it's a fork. So f3 looks solid. Yeah, I'm going to play f3. I like this pawn chain. There's ideas of g4, g5. Gain more space and kick away the knight. And eventually I do want to play bishop to e3. And with the pawn on h6, the bishop's going to have to develop this way. So we might see e5. We see knight h5. Okay. That cuts off the rook, but the pawn's still defended by the bishop. So I'm going to play g4. And it looks like the knight's going to have to move back. Yeah, I'm calculating bishop e3 takes, and then like rook b1. Feels close. There might be a trickier way to do this. Okay, I'm going to play a very mysterious move, a3. At first it looks like a nothing move. Kind of just random, moving the pawn. Wow, knight takes g4, okay. I might have to just explain after the game why I played a3, because it was a slightly deep concept, but yeah, for now I'll just take the sacrifice piece. And I'm going to play bishop e3. Actually, maybe I can still explain the point of a3 is after queen takes b2, knight a4 will trap the queen because I'm controlling b4. Except I'm blind to the fact knight a4 doesn't trap the queen because there's queen b5. My bishop is blocked. Oops. I thought I was so brilliant too. It's still okay, and maybe it's going to work out in a different way. But yeah, knight a4, queen b5. That was a blind spot. Because I was relying on just patterns I've seen in the past where the bishop's controlling b5, but I had to address the actual position. So maybe I'll just play rook b1. Also, yeah, rook b1, there's queen takes c3 and we trade. But I'll have an extra minor piece. Okay, let's go for this. So I'm allowing queen takes a3, or queen takes e3, or even bishop takes e2. Black has some choices here. Yeah, bishop takes e2, so I think I have to take with a knight. Unless there's a funny move here, queen d2. Take. Oh, okay, let's explore the options. So knight takes e2 is probably the most simple. Queen takes a3, and then I take the pawn. Oh, no, but then my bishop's hit, so I guess after takes and takes, I have to save the bishop, like rook h3. It looks okay. Queen d2 is probably similar. So I guess it's a question what the preference is. Queen d2 actually feels like it's going to be more harmonious. Rather than retreating the knight, I'm moving forward a little bit. So I defend the knight, which defends the rook, which attacks the queen. The bishop's left hanging. I'm assuming black's going to take the pawn. And then I'll take the bishop. And then I have a very nice setup. Black's only developed piece is a queen. Now it's true that black has 3 pawns for a bishop. But in such a position, I think the extra bishop is more valuable. The pawns aren't that dangerous. Also, I have very good control over the center, more space. Okay, pawn b5. I'm still looking for tactics. I mean, bishop takes b5, takes and then takes. Does that work? Queen a2, knight c7. It probably works. Do I want to take the risk? Oh, there's a funny line where I sack both rooks. Okay, I don't think I can resist. We'll have some fun. Sacking the bishop. Down a bit of time here. So the main point is, yeah, if black takes the bishop, I take back, I attack the queen, and I threaten the fork. Black does have this counter-attacking move, queen a2. And then my idea, if queen a2, okay, again, something to analyze after the game. I was thinking queen c3, sack both rooks and prepare mate. Oh, black just hung a queen, okay. Took me a moment to realize the queen was hanging. Sometimes these backward knight moves are easy to overlook. Now it's cleanup time. Attacking the knight, unleashing the bishop. Yeah, rook b7. Get the queen in. Where does the queen want to go? Queen a5. Yeah, the bishop is still stuck. f6 is a good move. Okay, let's get rid of this knight. The king's going to hide on f7. Okay, if f takes, f file opens. If d takes, I have pawn d6. So eventually I'll get through to the king. Oh, can I orchestrate some castle checkmate? Okay, I'll kind of sneak my queen in here. I'm fantasizing about rook g8, queen d7, a5, castle checkmate. Probably not going to happen. Ooh. All right, let's get the queen in. Now, next move, if I get the chance, I want to play queen g4, setting up the castle mate. My dream might become a reality. Okay, this is mate in 1. No castle mate, but still a nice finish. Yeah, some things to address in this game. I did go for this early h-pawn push. Sometimes, like if you encounter this from the black side, it can make sense to play h5, just so white can't get this quick pawn thrust. There's other cases where you can play h6, allow h5, and then respond with g5. This I'm probably happy to go into because there's f4 and black's kingside becomes a bit weak. But yeah, what happened was very pleasant, and looking back on it, a3 was probably not necessary. I mean, the whole idea was to like set up this eventual bishop e3 takes and knight a4 and take away the b4 square. But then the b5 square was also available. So it still worked out. Like black kind of self-destructed, sacking the piece. I went for this. Queen d2 is actually the best move. I was happy with this move. And then the sack happened. Oh yeah, the line I wanted to show was queen a2, counterattacking the rook. I was considering queen c3, which is a nice idea. Sacking b1, and then bong clouding. Wait. Oh, not bong clouding to e2, because then there's queen takes b5 with check. Hopefully I would have realized that. Bong clouding, let's say, to d2. Queen takes h1, and then queen c8 would be mate. So nice double rook sack, and black is actually defenseless, either losing the queen or getting mated here. Of course, that didn't happen. I won the queen, and then the rest is history. So, okay, that was the second game of this episode at 17:45. Let's do another. Okay, playing Iad, 70. I'm white again. This time we have a king's pawn opening. Let's play a Scotch. Maybe I'll play a Scotch Gambit. Bishop c4. Some fun lines that can emerge from this opening. Queen f6. I feel like I maybe encountered this at some point in the speedrun. It looks vaguely familiar. Castling is very natural here. c3 also. I think I'll castle first. Most flexible move. And there might be ideas of like e5 and rook e1. Black plays h6, so I'll play c3, trying to gambit and then accelerate development. And the queen on f6, it does help maybe try and influence the center, but at the same time, the queen ends up being a target. And I think we're going to see why usually you shouldn't bring out your queen early is because it gets kicked around. And you hear black is spending a lot of time moving the queen rather than developing. Queen b3 looks nice, creating the battery against f7. And black might have to move the queen again to h5. Plays pawn d5. Yeah, that only delays the pain. f7 still attacked. Now there's no more queen h5. b7's also attacked. There's not even knight h6. Even if there was knight h6, there's bishop h6. And if bishop e6, I can, guess I have a choice between taking b7 or e6. Queen b6, trying to trade queens. But this comes with check. And at the very least, I'll win the knight. And that's also probably the very most I can get here. Unless, wait, queen d5? Black can still trade queens. Okay. Yeah, so bishop takes g8, and if queen takes queen, I can take back with the bishop. Also, if queen takes pawn, I pin and win. So bishop to d7. And the normal thing to do here would be to trade queens and just simplify and probably just win in the endgame. But queen f7 looks very tempting. It might even be just the strongest move. Not only attacking the bishop, but making it so if the bishop moves, I take on g7 and then trap the rook. So black might have to defend with the queen, like queen d6 or queen f6. And then I probably trade queens. I'm trying to create a situation where black can further go wrong. Although that's interesting. Bishop e7, and if I take, there's bishop f6 to save the rook. Then do I have queen f8? Bishop e8? It gets kind of weird. e5? Let's do it. At the end of the day, it's about having fun. Also, it's a tricks and traps speedrun, so playing in a more tricky style. Okay, queen f6. So this probably induces a queen trade. Now my bishop's hanging and this pawn is hanging. Yeah, I'm looking for the best solution here. If I move back and then take and then rook d1, there's c5. So maybe e5 first. But then take, bishop here. Again, everything should be totally fine for me. I just want to be precise. Okay, I have an idea. I'm going to play e5. Okay, black takes first. That's fine. I'll take back. And then I think, yeah, taking on h6 should be fine. If bishop h3, I was going to say at first it looks problematic, but I have rook d1 and then g3. With bishop c6, I can play f3. And white is up 3 pawns and a knight. So more than enough material. And even though I was trying to win without needing to go into the endgame, it looks like I will be needing to convert this endgame. So bishop does a nice job stopping the rook battery from doing any damage. And the plan going forward is just to improve the pieces. Rooks have smiles on open files. I mean, f4, f5 might be the next sequence. I mean, these are 4 pass pawns, 4 connected pass pawns. Pass pawns are meant to be pushed. So black is trying to set up a blockade. But kings are not usually the best blockaders because once they get attacked, they're going to have to move. Knight e2 is preparing knight d4. And it's almost a mating net. King e4. Where's my mate? I'm slowing down here because it actually feels very close to mate. I'll win more material. Rook e1. The king has to move to d5. I can take the bishop with discover check. Now getting back to business, pushing the pawns. No mercy. Okay, yeah, nice game overall. I think black's problems in this game stemmed from this early queen move. There are other lines in the mainline Scotch, like after knight takes d4, where queen f6 is a bit more justified. There's a famous game of XQC versus Moist Critical that ended in some funny mate. But yeah, in this exact line, queen f6 is probably doing more harm than good for black. As we saw in the game, yeah, the queen got kicked around, and yeah, position was quite good quite quickly for white. So that win brings me to 1755. Some relatively quick games today, so let's do one more. Playing Karthik, I'm white again. Play e4 again. This time we have g6. Play bishop c4, something a little bit different. I did go for this early h-pawn push in a previous game. This game I'm going to go for the monkey's bum, which starts out as a scholar's made attempt. But then the idea is to gambit the d-pawn, which my opponent's not taking. Knight e7 is a fine move, probably preparing pawn d5. So let's try and fight for that square. And I'm slightly annoyed that my opponent's not taking the seemingly free pawn in the center. But if black does, then I'll play knight e2, I'll get a tempo. Black finally takes it, so I'm less annoyed. The bishop's attacked, and h5 comes next. And I think I first saw this opening, or one of the first times I saw it was actually in a Gotham chess video. This is years ago. But if you search for Gotham Monkey's Bum on YouTube, you probably find it, hopefully. And he did a nice job explaining like the key points in this line, that the attack can come very quickly when you get this h-pawn thrust. Here, I'm actually not sure if I want to take immediately or maybe leave the tension and build up. Kind of want to leave the tension. Let's start with queen h3. So creating the battery. And it looks very unpleasant for black to deal with. Yeah, knight here, and now I can take. Oh no, my bishop. I'm threatening mate in 1. I think f takes might be necessary. And then try and run with the king. But now it's pure offense for me. I think this is the only move. Like if h6 I can take, and then black's whole kingside crumbles. But yeah, now it's a question, like after takes king f7, what's the follow-up? Bishop h6, rook g8. Feels very, very close to being very good. But not quite seeing a knockout. And the thing is, when I take here in king f7, black is threatening rook h8. I think I should start with this, and then bishop h6, rook g8, and then I should have options. Yeah, here I'll pause. Probably time to save the bishop. Yeah, black is maybe surviving here. Bishop b3. Life goes on. Knight g4. I actually have to be careful, because if I retreat the bishop and then rook h8, my queen is trapped. I want to play knight f4 and increase pressure, but then takes and rook h8 still. Wow. So I think I have to take on g7. This should still be very good for white. The rook will take back, and I'll play queen h4. But sometimes it's difficult to like shift the mindset from like brutally attacking the opponent to maybe playing some sane, solid, sometimes retreating moves. But I'm making sure that I'm not losing anything, still keeping pressure, still have some initiative too. This is kind of a threat with the skewer. But if I play e5, then I'm threatening to take with a queen. e5. Yeah, e5 looks good. It maybe allows knight f5 in the future, but I don't think black has time for it. Now g4 traps a knight. So it took a little bit of extra work to actually get the job done here. And this is, I think, a big difference between players at the lower levels, maybe sub 1200, and players in the like 16, 1700s, is sometimes when you get a good or winning position, these players still are quite good at resisting and defending, and sometimes they make you really work for it, even when things seem to be straightforward. But yeah, I think at this point it's hard to resist more as black. Knight on e7 is pinned. Okay, I'll take on h5. Can I dive in with the queen? Let's do it. And I'll probably just castle queenside, get the other rook into play. And white is up. A knight. Feels like I should be up more material, but yeah, black's queenside pieces are out of play. And tactics should start to flow. Bishop takes e6. Pawn takes and then checkmate. Yeah, we might see queen h6, which, okay, we don't. So that's mate. Yeah, queen h6 would have prolonged the game. Chess.com says I have 2 brilliant moves. Well, now I have to take a look. Let's see which moves were brilliant.
Amazing. Winning the game with a brilliant move. You ignored your opponent's threat with a powerful response. Nice. You found a way to win a pawn.
So this was brilliant. And then, oh, bishop takes e6 was also brilliant.
You found the right idea by sacrificing your bishop. This move will win a pawn with correct play.
Okay.
Amazing. Winning the game.
How do I get back to... There we go. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that was, I think, a pretty nice one-sided game. Opponent eventually accepted this monkey's bum gambit. And according to the engine, it's not good for black, at least in this position. Maybe earlier, like here, black can take, and then it's a little bit different. I would still probably employ the same ideas, like knight e2, knight c3, h4, h5, and still try and have some fun. So I think I'll end it there. Rated 1764. Hope you guys enjoyed the games today. As always, if you have questions, leave them below. If you like the content, do subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.